Yeah, so some of the pitfalls I see applicants kind of make their way into, and the really simple things, and you highlighted some of them, is feeling the need that when you're asked a question, you got to rush into answering it, right? Versus taking that moment to think about how you want to respond, formulating the answer in your head, and then giving a response. The most uncomfortable part of an interview for the applicant is kind of that dead air in the room.
Yeah.
It's that silence that's going on. And what I like to tell people is like, look, on the interviewer side of things, I'm okay with dead air. Like I've been trained that when you're not talking, I know you're thinking about an example. I may be catching up on notes that I need to take. Maybe my
100%.
mind's gone to a meeting that's coming up next. It's okay to take a quick break to think about how you want to respond to a question. So be okay with that silence in the room. Interviewers are trained for that. It's okay to do that. It's okay to ask for repeat of the question. Maybe you didn't hear it quite right, or you're not too sure what the meaning is.
Or even getting clarity on what they're trying to achieve with the question. Like, oh, what, like, help lead me a little further so I can make sure I give you a good answer.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Like I know interviews feel, and a lot of they are, it's like a one-way conversation. You as the applicant are doing most of the talking, but it doesn't mean you can't ask questions
Yeah.
throughout. If you need that clarity, it's a big pitfall that I see applicants kind of fall into. It's like, I'm only going to speak when spoken to. Well, don't
Right.
do that, because as an interviewer, I just want to hear your best answer, because I got to make a decision here as to whether you're right for this role. So however, whatever it takes to help you get clarity to respond properly, if I can get that good information out of you and that helps me determine that you're the right person for the role, then ask those questions. And then the other one that I see people do is, if they don't have an answer to a question, it causes them, to really start to stress, right? And they're trying to think of an answer, 10 seconds, 30 seconds goes by and they can't think of anything. Say, leave it, right? Just ask to come back to that question. Again, my role is to get the best answer out of you
Right.
possible. If you got to skip over a question and come back to it later, we can absolutely do that. That doesn't cause, in my world anyway, of the interviews I've been on over the years, doesn't cause you to lose marks or for me to think differently
Yeah.
of you. I'll come back to it at the end of the interview and ask that question. And what it does is a couple things. One, you go through the interview, you build confidence throughout that interview because you've answered all the questions. You get to the end, now you have a little bit of time to think about an answer. But more often than not, your brain works in mysterious ways where you're going through the interview, but in the back of your mind, it's thinking of an example to use for the question you couldn't answer. And a lot of the time I see people, we get to the end of the interview, hey, we're going to go back to that one question we skipped over. The interviewer asks it again, and then the applicant's like, "Oh yeah, I got the answer to this, no
Right.
problem." And
Yeah.
boom, it's done. It's out there. So those types of things, when I say pitfalls and landmines, it's making sure you're trying to have an authentic conversation with the interviewer. If you need clarity, ask. If you need to skip over a question, just ask. If you want a question repeated, again, just ask. Those are really, really important things. And the last one, of course, for me, which is a big one, or actually two that I would say are: one, using we instead of I. A lot of applicants, because they don't want to come across as, like say having ego, they'll instead of saying I did this, I did that, they say we.
Right.
And for interviewers, they're gonna, if they don't help clarify that, because some interviewers won't, they'll get to the end, they'll look at their notes and go, well, I don't know specifically what Clark actually did here because he
Yeah.
said we the whole time. So when you practice saying I. And then
Right.
the last one is be specific, right? So be specific where it counts. So be specific as to what you did with the action that you took, and be specific with what you did with the results you achieved. Those are really key things. A lot of times you'll get kind of a vague response with not a lot of specifics or details. And those can hurt you, because then I don't know as the interviewer specifically what you did.